Dear students, in this session we will be discussing about Module 3 Memory System. Memory system or memory unit, it is one of the very important functional unit of a computer system. So it is known as brain of the computer. Memory is just like the human brain. It is used to store data and the instruction. Computer memory is the storage space in the computer where data is to be processed and instruction required for processing are stored. So in this module, we will be studying these topics, that is basic concepts of memory system, semiconductor RAM memories. In this we will be discussing about the internal organization of memory chip, read-only memories, different types of ROMs, speed, size and cost, cache memories. Under cache memory we will be discussing about mapping function, replacement algorithm, performance consideration. So here we are referring the textbook by Carl Hamacher, Computer Organization 5th edition, and this particular module is from the chapter 5, and these are the sections we'll be referring for this particular module. Memory unit or memory system is the most essential element of a computer system, because without it computer can't perform a simple task. So the memory system is primarily classified into two types, that is primary memory and secondary memory. Primary memory holds only those data and instructions on which the computer is currently working. It has a limited capacity, and data is lost when the power is switched off. It is generally made up of a semiconductor device. The data and the instruction required to be processed resides in the main memory. So whenever we want to execute any program, that program should be reside. It should be stored in the primary memory or main memory. The another one is secondary memory. This type of memory is also known as external memory or non-volatile memory. Means the memory is it's going to hold the data even the power goes off. So that's why it is called non-volatile memory. It is slower than the main memory. These are used for storing data or information permanently. For example, CD-ROM, DVD, etc. The contents of the secondary memories are first transferred to the main memory, and then the CPU can access it. So under primary memory there are two classifications, that is RAM and ROM. RAM is a random access memory, ROM read-only memories. So random access memory, it is also called as read-write memory, or the main memory, or the primary memory. The programs and the data that the CPU requires during the execution of a program are stored in this memory. It is a volatile memory. Volatile memory means the data is lost when the power is turned off. So RAM, it is again classified into two types, that is static random access memory and dynamic random access memory. So another type of primary memory is read-only memory. So it stores crucial information essential to operate the system, like the program essential to boot the computer when you switch on the computer. It is a non-volatile memory, means it always retains its data. It is again it is classified into four types actually. ROM, PROM, EPROM and EEPROM. That means programmable read-only memory, erasable programmable read-only memory, then electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. So this we'll be studying in coming slides. And the RAM, it is classified into static RAM and dynamic RAM. In the dynamic RAM, it is further subclassified into synchronous DRAM and asynchronous DRAM. So when you take the memory unit, the maximum size of the memory that can be used in any computer is determined by the addressing scheme. For example, the computer generates 16-bit address is capable of addressing up to 2 to the power 16, that is 64K kilo memory location. There is a formula, that is, if the processor or the computer generates K bits of address, that means it is capable of addressing, or it is capable of holding 2 to the power K memory locations. Okay, so here for example, if 16-bit means 2 to the power 16, those many memory locations will be allocated for the memory system. The memory is usually designed to store and retrieve data in word length quantities. Consider, for example, a byte addressable computer whose instructions generate 32-bit address. When a 32-bit address is sent from the processor to memory unit, the high order 30 bits determine which word will be accessed. If a byte quantity is specified, the low order 2 bits of the address specify which byte location is involved, means from which byte location it has to be fetched. So this is very important. This diagram shows the connection of the memory to the processor. So here the connection between the memory and the processor, it includes 3 lines. One is address line, data line, and so here address line carries the address information from the register MAR to the memory. It is unidirectional transfer. Another one is a data line. It is a bidirectional. The data will be transferred from MDR to memory unit, and from memory unit to MDR. Then the third one is a control line, which carries signals like read or write signal, which indicates whether it is an input operation or output operation, or read or write operation. And another important signal is MFC, that is memory function completed. From the system standpoint, we can view the memory unit as a black box. Data transfer between the memory and the processor here takes place through the two very important processor registers, that is MAR and MDR. MAR stands for Memory Address Register, which carries the address details, the memory cell's address details from processor memory interface circuits to the memory unit. Here the K-bit address indicates that the memory system, it is able to generate up to 2 to the power K addressable locations, and word length is of n bits. If MAR is K bits long and MDR is n bits long, then the memory unit may contain up to 2 to the power K addressable locations. During a memory cycle, n bits of data are transferred between the memory and the processor. This transfer also includes the control signals, lines like read or write and memory function completed for coordinating the data transfer. The processor reads the data from the memory by loading the address of the required memory location into the MAR register and setting the read or write line to 1. That means it is a read operation, and the memory responds by placing the data from the address location onto the data lines and confirms this action by sending the MFC signal, that is a memory function completed. So upon the receipt of the MFC signal, the processor loads the data on the data lines into the MDR register. So that is how the read operation happens. The processor writes data into the memory location by loading the address of that particular location into MAR and loading the data into MDR. It indicates that write operation is involved by setting that r/w value or the data in that particular line to 0. So that means it is a write operation. So the processor uses the address lines to specify the memory location involved in a data transfer operation and uses the data lines to transfer the data. At the same time, the control lines carry the command indicating read or write operation and whether byte or a word is to be transferred. The control lines also provide the necessary timing information for synchronization and are used by the memory to indicate when it has completed the requested operation. And the another important controlling signal, that is a memory function complete. So whenever a block of data is transferred between processor and the memory or from the memory to the processor, once that process is completed, the data transfer is completed, then this MFC signal is activated. There are two important measures used in the memory data transfer. The first one is memory access time. So memory access time means that is the time elapses between the initiation of an operation to transfer a word of data and the completion of that operation. So for example, if it is a read operation, when the read operation is initiated and when the that particular memory cell is sensed and the data is transferred, that sensed data is transferred to the processor. So that time gap or that delay, we call it as a memory access time. Another important measure is that memory cycle time, which is the minimum time delay required between the initiation of two successive memory operations. For example, the time gap between two read operations, successive read operation, so that we call it as a memory cycle time. So here the cycle time is usually slightly longer than the access time. A memory unit is called a random access memory if the access time to any location is the same, independent of the location's address. It is a random access. So any location randomly it can access and it can fetch the value. This distinguishes such memory units from serial or partly serial access storage devices such as magnetic and optical disks. Access time of the later device depends on the address or position of the data. So in magnetic and optical disk, the access time based on to get the address and position of the data from the disk. So cache and virtual memory. So here the processor of a computer can usually process instructions and data transfer data faster than they can be fetched from the main memory. Hence the memory access time is the bottleneck in the system, because whenever the processor wants to fetch any opcode operand value, it has to go back to the main memory and it has to fetch the value from the main memory. If again that operand value is required in the next instruction, again it has to fetch from the memory main memory. So there is a bottleneck in the system because of the memory access time. So to reduce this memory access time, there is a concept used that is called cache memory. This is a small and fastest memory in the different types of memory. So it is a fast memory inserted between the larger, slower main memory and the processor. It holds the currently active portions of a program and their data. So cache memory, it stores the currently executing programs data or the variable. Another important technique is that virtual memory. In this technique, only the active portions of a program are stored in the main memory, and the remainder is stored on the much larger secondary storage device. So sections of the program are transferred back and forth between the main memory and the secondary storage device in a manner that is transparent to the application program. As a result, the application program sees a memory that is much larger than the computer's physical main memory. Virtual memory is another important concept related to the memory organization. Because sometimes whatever the main memory is available, it won't be enough to store the currently executing program. So that time this concept, virtual memory concept, is used. So here the data may be stored in a physical memory locations that have addresses different from those specified by the program. So here the virtual addresses or the logical addresses are used. So the virtual address space is mapped onto the physical memory where data are actually stored. So actually this virtual memory is used to increase the apparent size of the physical memory. The data are which are addressed in a virtual address space that can be as large as the addressing capability of the processor. So this is one of the very important technique used in memory system, virtual memory. So next we will see the internal organization of memory chip. So this is the block diagram which shows the organization of bit cells in a memory chip. Semiconductor memories are available in a wide range of speeds. When the first introduced in the late 1960s, they were much more expensive than the magnetic core memories they replaced. But because of rapid advances in VLSI technology, the cost of semiconductor memories has dropped dramatically. As a result, they are now used almost exclusively in implementing memory cell. Actually, memory unit or memory system, it's of semiconductor memory cell. So here we will see the internal organization of memory chip. So here the memory cells are usually organized in the form of an array. Means these are arranged in a array fashion in which each cell is capable of storing one bit of information. One bit of information means either 0 or 1 bit. So this organization shows like how the memory cells are arranged. Here each row of cells constitutes a memory word, and all cells of a row are connected to a common line referred to as word line. Okay, so here you can see here W0, W1, W15. So there are 16 word lines. So all the this memory cells are connected to this word line, which is driven by the address decoder on the chip. So here address decoder, this circuit is going to decode the address which is transferred to by the processor, and based on this address information, decoded address information, it is going to select the word line. So from the word line, it is going to sense or write those memory cells with the data. The cells in each column are connected to the sense/write circuit by 2-bit lines. So here we have 2-bit lines. So bit lines you can see here, B0 and B0 dash or complement. So that means these are the 2-bit lines. So B0 will store the value. For example, if B0 is 0, B0 dash, it will store the complement of that value. That is, if B0 is 0, then B0 dash is 1. If B0 is 1, then here B0 dash is 0. So both are complement to each other. So during a read operation, these circuits sense or read the information stored in the cells connected by a word line and transmit this information to the data output line. So there are 8-bit output line, data line, that is B0, B1 up to B7. So what happens in read operation? So whatever the value is there in this memory cell, it is going to be sensed by this sensor write circuit, and that value will be transferred to the this data output lines. If it is a write operation, the sense or write circuits receive the input information and store it in the cells of the selected word. So it will, the sense or write circuit is going to receive the writing information, that value which is going to be written on those memory cells from this data input line, and those values will be modified or updated in the respective memory cells based on the address given by the processor. So these are the points from the internal organization of memory chips. Memory cells are in the form of an array in which each cell is capable of storing 1 bit of information. Each row of cells constitutes a memory word, and all cells of a row are connected to a common line called word line. The cells in each column are connected to a sense or write circuit by 2-bit line, that is B0 and B0 dash, and the sense or write circuits are connected to the data input or output lines of the chip. So during the write operation, what happens? The cells will be selected by the word line and place this information to the data output line, and during write operation, these circuits receive the input data from this data input or output lines, and those information is going to be stored on the memory cells, which is selected, which is based on the selected word line. In above example of a very small memory circuit consisting of 16 words of 8-bit each. So in this diagram, so we are going to store 16 words, that is W0 to W15, that is 16 words, and each word is consist of 8 bits. So 16 into 8. So we are going to store 16 into 8 bit of information. So this is referred to as 16 into 8 organization. The data input and the data output of each sense or write circuit are connected to a single bidirectional data line that can be connected to the data lines of a computer. The read or write input specifies the required operation, whether it is a read or write operation, and there is another input signal, that is CS, chip select. Input selects a given chip in a multi-chip memory system. So the memory system will be having multiple chips. So from which chip the data should be fetched, so that will be selected by this particular input signal, that is a chip select. So in the internal organization of memory chip, there are a number of external connections are required. So for example, the memory in the above example, it stores 128 bits, that is 16 into 8, 128 bits, and it requires 14 external connection, 4 for address, 8 for data, 2 for control lines, and 2 for power supply and ground connections. And if we take another format of 1K into 1 format, means 1K means it is 1024 memory cells. So these circuits can be organized as a 128 into 8 memory, requiring total of 19 external connections. So 19 means 7 for address line, 8 for data line, 2 for control line, and 2 for power supply. The same number of cells can be organized into a 1K into 1 format. So there we require 10-bit address. So 10-bit address and 1 bit for data line, and 2 for control line, and 2 for power supply. Then another organization, that is 1G bit chip. It may have 256 M into 4 organization, in which case 28 bit address is needed and 4 bits are transferred to or from the chip. So in 28 address, 4 for data line, 2 for control line, and 2 for power supply. So this is how the internal organization of memory chip and the number of external connections required. Thank you.